Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to join, and then we're going to start the presentation. So we appreciate your patience. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate all of our members taking time out of their busy day to join us for this presentation. I'm Dominic Noto. I'm the lead growth officer here at University Credit Union, and I'm joined by my colleague, Monisha, Mo, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure, everyone. My name is Monisha Donaldson, and I'm also a growth officer here at University Credit Union.
So April is Financial Wellness Month. So this is the third in a series of 4 workshops, webinars that we're hosting for our members this month. So during today's presentation, we're going to be discussing winning the battle against scams. So we're going to go over how scammers gain access to your account, your information, what they do with it, and how you can fight back against it. Just some housekeeping items. This is a webinar, so we're not going to be able to see or hear from you during today's presentation. So please use the Q&A feature if you have questions, and we'll answer them as we go along the presentation. I'll also go through a little overview of UCU, and then we're going to get into the presentation. So as many of you probably know, what we're going to go over is UCU was founded in 1951 on the UCLA campus by UCLA employees. And so we're the only credit union created by the university community for the university community. And this makes our purpose of giving everyone in the university community a financial advantage. Um, we do this, by offering a top 5% rate guarantee, having certified financial consultants who offer unbiased and judgment-free financial advice, and again, being the only credit union founded for and by the university community. An overview of how we serve our membership here at UCU. We serve everyone that's affiliated with all of our university communities. So that's students, employees, retirees, faculty, alumni, and all your families as well. As I mentioned, we give conflict-free advice. Mo, if you want to go back to the last slide really quick, I'll run through that. We offer conflict-free advice, so none of us have individual incentives. We offer a consultative needs-based approach. So we're going to go through all of our members' financial needs and offer them the best solution, whether that's with us or with another institution. But we're not going to pressure you into getting products with us if that's not going to work best for you. As we want to make sure that you're the most financially healthy you can be. And then as a part of our benefits that we offer our members and our universities, we offer powerful financial wellness courses like we did today. We also briefly wanted to touch on the credit union difference. There is huge differences between credit union and bank, even though we offer many of the same products and services. Credit unions are not for profit and we're owned by our members as opposed to shareholders. We're more interested in paying back money to our members because we're not allowed to invest it in the stock market and pay back shareholders, whereas our members own the credit union and we're more focused on their financial health. Generally, we're going to have lower fees compared to banks, higher rates on our checking and savings accounts, lower rates on loans, and then we're going to be more involved in our community. And for us, that's all of our university communities that we serve throughout California and beyond. And before we get into the nuts and bolts of some of these scam tactics, wanted to go over the money personality section here. And so to help you on your financial journey, it's very beneficial to kind of understand what your money personality is. Oh, and sorry if you missed the beginning, John, I see your question, but we will not, this is a webinar, so you will not be able to turn on your camera or your mic during today's presentation. So in order to figure out your money personality, you can do a simple exercise. You want to list out the products and services you spend your money on, list the ways that you are a good spender, and list the changes you'd like to make in your spending habits. You want to get real with how you spend money. Be honest with yourself with the good and the bad. We've all made mistakes with money, but the key is to learn from them. Much of our personality comes from how we're raised, our culture, society, the economy, friends, and our jobs, and our money personality changes over time. So what is our personality? We'll get into the next slide. So as you can see on the slide, there's 8 different kinds of personalities here, and many of us probably fit into more than one of these, honestly. First is the hoarder, who likes to save, budget, and prioritize. The spender obviously likes to spend. The planner is nitty-gritty, take it one step at a time type. The dreamer hatches passionate schemes but has no idea how to make them come true. The merger wants to pull their family's income together. The separatist wants to have some of their own money. The risk taker loves adventurous investing, and the risk avoider goes for the sure thing. So you might find that your approach fits into more than one profile, which is normal. And so if you want to think about that and go through the exercise and really think about what type of personality you fit in, that should help you out during today's presentation as well. So I'm going to throw it over to Mo, and she's going to take us through the beginning of identity theft.
Thank you, Don. That was great. I always like to stop and think about what my money personality is, depending on what I'm going through in life, and I find that it changes quite frequently. So we are going to talk a little bit about scams and to be a little bit more clear, identity theft specifically. So a scam basically is like a dishonest scheme or some form of fraud. And identity theft is a crime where someone uses your personal information, like your social security number, your bank account details, without your permission and for some type of financial advantage. So I did a little Google search this morning and I looked at like what were the most common scams that people are experiencing nowadays in 2025. And what I found was that AI is probably the top oh, someone said they can't hear me clearly. Not sure if it's my service or what, but so AI basically is the number one scam that people are experiencing nowadays, as well as tech support scams or employment scams. And basically what that sounds like is, for example, employment scams is where employers prey on people and make them think that they're getting jobs where that's not actually true. Or, for example, some type of company may reach out to you saying that you need support with tech, which again is not also true. Let's move forward here. So because identity theft is so common, the US government actually made it as a federal crime. So it's very, very, very common. And as Dom said, we're going to basically cover what it includes, how it occurs, and how thieves will use your information and how you can protect yourself from being a victim of identity theft. So what is identity theft? So the crime of using another person's personal information, credit history, characteristics, or anything to make a purchase or borrow money without someone's permission. Now, this includes not only adults, but it also includes children, teens. Unfortunately, you have parents sometimes that will use their children's social security numbers. I've heard it happen, and actually heard it happen today, specifically here at the Banking Hub. And then to get more specific, so we've got computer crimes, and this occurs when data is stolen from you during online activities. So let's just say, for example, you might think that you're using a specific website and somehow a hacker is able to get in and pick up your personal information. And then you have personal betrayal. And this happens, for example, if a friend or a relative gets your information or your data and they share it with someone who may be a scammer or someone who may steal your identity down the line. And then you have document loss. So this occurs, for example, if you lose your wallet and let's say you lose your checkbook and someone sees that checkbook and they copy your account number and somehow they get into your account. Or business leaks. So I think this has been common lately where you may do business with someone, and because you do business with that business, they have all of your personal information. And then let's say there's some type of exposure to that business and your personal information is leaked. So if we see here that we are all susceptible to identity fraud and we're all very vulnerable to it. So it's really, really helpful for us to understand how this stuff works and then what to do if we fall victim to it. So a couple of ways that this happens is maybe you may get your wallet stolen or your purse, your backpack. There are people out there, unfortunately, that do things like dumpster diving. I have seen it happen where I've seen, folks going through the dumpsters at people's complexes or, when you take your trash out. So if you want to try to avoid having that sensitive information in there, like insurance cards or mortgage statements, anything that leaves you vulnerable. And then you have farming and fishing as well. And basically, farming is a process that steals information from internet users. We talked a little bit about this before. So it's a cyber attack intended to redirect that website to traffic that's different for a fake site. So sometimes, for example, when you are using the internet, you may not see that you click on a link and then it redirects you somewhere else where it looks like this site is true and it's not. So for example, if you see in this picture here, you want to try to make sure that you're really clear when you're putting in any sensitive information. If you see here like this HTTP, you want to make sure you're always on a site that is trusted. Because if you see here, this is such a subtle change here, but it says HTTPS. And so, for example, you may be on a site and then that site redirected you somewhere else. And it looks very similar to what that website is, but then that little tweak right there is actually showing you that that's not the case. And then phishing is a practice where fraudsters find like confidential information like passwords or things of that nature. Let's do a little exercise. And there are several things that are wrong with this picture here. So if you notice here, there are several misspellings, typos, random web links, and also, excuse me, you could tell that the sources are not trusted. So you always want to make sure you're paying close attention to these things. I know myself personally, I get emails sometimes and the emails look like they're credible sources. And then as you're reading through, you realize that you see these typos and you see email addresses that don't make sense. And so anytime you see these red flags, I would caution and go directly to the sites and not necessarily click on any links that come to you via email. Right, Dom, I'll kick it over to you.
Thank you. So now, once if you have been a victim of a scam or identity theft, how do these thieves or scammers use your information? So once identity thieves steal your identities, some things they can do include applying for credit cards or loans in your name, withdrawing funds from your accounts, using your health insurance to obtain medical care, using your social security number to steal your tax refund, or selling your information on the dark web to other criminals. And so next we're going to talk about how you can protect yourself. So the first is to monitor your credit reports. Um, you all have access to one free copy of your credit report from all three credit bureaus each year through annualcreditreport.com. And the website, the example of the website is what you can see on the screen here. Note that only the reports are free. If you wish to obtain your exact scores, you'll still pay about $6 to $8 per credit bureau. And it's definitely something you want to look at all three credit bureaus because not every lender reports all information to all three credit bureaus. So if you want to check all three once a year, it's really great to get in the habit of to make sure all your information is correct. There's also recently a law put into effect that requires lender to provide the credit score they used if they make an adverse decision to your application for credit. So this includes being denied for a loan or a credit card or getting approved at an interest rate higher than the best rate being offered. We don't recommend applying for something knowing you'll be denied just to get your free credit score, because doing that could actually hurt your credit score. When you go on the annual credit report site, you'll be asked several security questions. There may even be trick questions on there. For example, it might say that you opened a mortgage in May 2008 and ask the name of the lender. If you've never taken out a mortgage, the answer might be NA or not applicable. Keep in mind that these questions are meant to ensure who you are, who you say you are. You have the option of getting 3 reports at the same time. If you've never seen the reports, it may be a great idea. However, another option is to stagger the reports, where you'd get a different report every 4 months. Doing this allows you to view your report 3 times a year instead of just once and may allow you to any fraud or ID theft faster. And then again, you have the right to write or contact the credit bureaus if there's any mistakes or fraud on your account. If there is been fraud, you can freeze your credit so that the fraudsters are not able to obtain your credit or to use your social security to take out any credit in your name. On the next slide, the next step is using strong passwords and making sure you're safe online. So, the best way is to use strong passwords so that no one can get into any of your online accounts, whether it's banking or any site that you use that obtains your credit card information or anything like that. So first you want to you mix it up and use different passwords for each account. But there are like password managers out there, so you don't have to remember all of them. Don't just protect your accounts, protect your devices too. Use different passwords on your phone and your computer. And then try using longer passphrases instead of passwords. They're easier to remember and more difficult to hack. And then the next step is to be vigilant. You want to steer clear of suspicious websites and links. Don't give out personal information to a caller or through email. Delete unknown emails and don't download attachments. Protect your personal documents and shred them when you're ready to get rid of them. Just limit your exposure in any way possible. And you want to constantly be taking stock of where you're at. Are there ways that you're currently putting yourself at risk, or are there ways that you work to protect yourself? And then we're going to go back to Monisha for the last section.
So now we're going to cover what to do if you are a victim. And I will just encourage you that if this does happen or come up in your lifetime, it is okay. It happens to the best of us, unfortunately. But just knowing the steps that you have is really helpful because you'll know what to do first. So here's a site here where it's identitytheft.gov, and you could go and actually file a report. that tells the government basically that what happened. So you'll file that report and you'll give as much details as you can, and you will basically give a description and submit any evidence that you have. Now, I just want to kind of give a side note here. So this looks different for every scenario because, as we mentioned earlier, there are so many different types of scams nowadays. So I encourage you to do your research about what is popular and what is current, because there's so many new scams that emerge every single day. So when you are thinking about the type of evidence that you can collect, you want to be really mindful of that. But the first things first that you want to do is contact identitytheft.gov. And then you want to contact those creditors and financial institutions. So, for example, if you know that your information was compromised and you know that someone tried to hack into your accounts or something like that, you want to let your creditors, the folks that you owe, know, as well as your financial institutions. That way, we can flag your account or put notes on your account just in case if you call in, we can take extra measures to protect your information and to make sure we ask additional security questions to make sure you are who you say you are. And then you want to also contact the credit bureaus. So as Dom mentioned, you can contact the credit bureaus, and there are certain measures that you can do to protect yourself for the future, and to alert them as well that your information has been compromised. And then you want to file a police report. So all of that evidence that you have, you want to take it to the police, get as detailed as possible, and let them know what happened so that you have documentation that you have reported this to the police. And then what is also helpful is maintaining really good records, so that you can follow up and you are able to basically combat against, it happening for the future, or you just safeguarding yourself. And one other thing that I forgot to mention is you do have the ability to freeze your credit or lock your credit. For example, there are several people who've experienced identity theft, like for example, their social was used and maybe there was an account or a credit card that was opened in their name with their social. You can go to the credit bureau and ask them to freeze or lock it. So how that works is you'd go back to them anytime you want to apply for a loan, you'd unlock it for a short period of time so that you can apply for the loan, and then you'd go back and lock it. And then it's really important to just know your rights and to be an educated consumer. So attending webinars such as this and doing your research, as I said, every now and then, looking up what are the most recent or common scams is helpful because you can safeguard yourself from being so vulnerable. All righty, and we'll kick it back over to Dom.
Fantastic. So we really hope that you enjoyed our workshop today. And please, we can stick around for a couple minutes at the end as well if you have any questions. But we also want to let you know about some of the additional services we offer here at University Credit Union for you. So if you would like to make a virtual appointment with a certified credit union financial counselor, you can scan the QR code or visit ucu.org and click book an appointment. We can set up a 45-minute consultation with you to either help you with any issues you're having with your membership, or to do a consultation with about your financial situation, and help see how UCU can help. We really appreciate you joining us today. We hope you'll learn a lot about how to fight back against scams and identity theft. We have a QR code here if you're interested in becoming a member, and then if you would like to schedule an appointment as well as our contact information if you'd like to reach out to us with any questions you have.
All right, so I don't see any questions popping up. Our email addresses are here, so please contact us if you have a personal circumstance that you'd like to chat about. But without further ado, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and thank you so much for joining.